Greeting from Malang, Indonesia. Welcome to the IEEE International Conference on Cybernetics and Computational Intelligence 2022.
Ladies and gentlemen, while we are waiting for the conference begin, as today's conference is organized by the Institut Teknologi Telkom Purwokerto, Indonesia, Brawijaya University, and Widyagama University. Before we begin our conference today, we have a few information. First, we would like to seek your cooperation in completing this conference. Second, please turn on the camera and mute the microphone. Thank you for your kind cooperation and attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the IEEE International Conference on Cybernetics and Computational Intelligence 2022, Malang, Indonesia. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable IEEE SMC, the Indonesia Section Chapter, Dr. Engineering Sunu Wibirama STMN. The Honorable IEEE Indonesia Section, Dr. Ing Wahyudi Hasbi, SSI MSI. The Honorable General Chair Cyberneticscom 20 and 22, Rektor Institut Teknologi Telkom Purwokerto, Dr. Arfianto Fahmi, STMT. Distinguished keynote speakers, Professor Mario Koppen from Kyushu Institute of Technology, Japan. Dr. Jemy V. Confido from PT Telkom Indonesia. And Associate Professor Mahardika Pratama from University of South Australia. The Honorable all the Organizing Committee and Board Leader from ITTP, Brawijaya University and Widyagama University, and all the presenter and participant of today's conference.
On behalf of the committee, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all the participants. Welcome to IEEE International Conference of Cybernetics and Computational Intelligence 2022. I'm Diandra Chica Francisca and my partner, Halim Kista, as the Master of Ceremony today, would like to appreciate you to all for attending this conference on June 16 until 18, 2022 on your busy day. And we would like to compliment to the Institut Teknologi Telkom Purwokerto, Brawijaya University and Widyagama University for the organizing and hosting this event. We hope you will learn and get new knowledge from today's conference. We have lined up for you to be fruitful and engaging.
Distinguished speaker, ladies and gentlemen, before we officially begin our conference, we will praise and sing our national anthem, Indonesia Raya, and then Jayalah Telkom and Mars, Institut Teknologi Telkom Purwokerto.
Kembangkan riset teknik terkini, menerapkan manfaat teknologi. Kembangkan peradaban bangsa berdaya saing tinggi, kinerja profesional. Jalin kerjasama kualitas nyata, di PT Purwokerto jaya selamanya.
Distinguished speaker, ladies and gentlemen, Cybernetics is the flagship conference of the IEEE Indonesia section. This scientific conference is often referred to as IEEE Cyberneticscom.
This conference is a major international forum for scientists, researchers, engineers, and practitioners interested in the study, analysis, design, modeling, and implementation. Implementation in cybernetics, machine system, computational intelligence, science, and engineering system, both theoretically and practically in various fields of application. IEEE Cyberneticscom is agenda that is not always routinely carried out every year, so it is necessary to make this reputable conference regularly to accommodate researchers, academic practitioners in publishing research results.
Okay, distinguished speaker, ladies and gentlemen, before we begin the welcoming speech and keynote speaker, we would like to invite all the participants to take a picture first. For those of you who did not turn on the camera yet, please turn on your camera first. Okay, well, please be ready to take a picture. The committee will take your picture page by page, so please be ready and hold your smile for a while. Okay, starting now, page 1, 3, 2, 1, okay. And then page 2. Okay, please turn on your camera first. Okay, page 2, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and then next page. Please turn on your camera. Okay, hold your smile. 3, 2, 1. Okay, and then next page. Okay, finish. Distinguished speaker, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite the General Chair Cyberneticscom 20 and 22 to deliver welcoming speech and give us the report of International Conference on Cybernetics and Computational Intelligence 20 and 22. Please welcome Dr. Arfianto Fahmi, ST, MT.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Greeting from Malang, Indonesia. On behalf of the IEEE Indonesia section, we would like to extend our warmest welcome to all keynote speakers, presenter, and participant at 6th IEEE International Conference on Cybernetics and Computational Intelligence 2022 or IEEE Cyberneticscom 2022. Cyberneticscom is the flagship conference of the IEEE Indonesia section. This scientific conference is often referred to as IEEE Cyberneticscom. This conference is a major international forum from scientists, researchers, engineers, practitioners who interested in the study, analysis, design, modeling, and implementation. Implementation in cybernetics, machine system, computational intelligence, science and engineering, system theoretically and practically in various fields of application. The 6th IEEE Cyberneticscom 2022 is organized by Institut Teknologi Telkom Purwokerto, supported by the IEEE, the Indonesia Section Computer Society Chapter, and IEEE SMC Indonesia Chapter, where we collaborate with co-host Universitas Brawijaya and Universitas Widyagama Malang. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, this conference will be held as virtual event. IEEE Indonesia section has conducted many activities for over 30 years in Indonesia. The IEEE Indonesia section has a good mutual relationship with ICT organization, industry, government, universities, and the community in Indonesia. As the 6 years of Cyberneticscom, this conference show its sustainability due to the hard work of conference organizer, well-organized conference, and high-quality papers. We hope that some high-quality conference will be continued and strengthened shortly. Therefore, the result will benefit and positively impact human beings, especially for Indonesian people. The core purpose of IEEE is to foster technological innovation and excellence for the benefit of humanity. We believe that this conference will bring researchers, academicians, scientists, students, engineers, and practitioners together to participate and present their latest research finding, development, and application related to various aspects of the current state of technology and outcome of ongoing research in the area of cybernetic, human-machine system, system science and engineering, computational intelligence, data science, and artificial intelligence. Despite the challenges, the 6th IEEE International Conference on Cybernetics and Computational Intelligence Organizing Committee and volunteers work very hard to complete the conference papers, uphold the quality of conference, and meet the author's expectation. IEEE Cyberneticscom 2022 aims to address the current state of technology and the outcome of ongoing research in cybernetics, human-machine system, system science and engineering, computational intelligence, data science, and artificial intelligence. I hope you all find this conference highly engaging, fruitful, and beneficial for our further ventura. Your support will also make this memorable and successful event. We wish you to stay safe, healthy, and productive. We are looking forward to your contribution and participation. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Arfianto Fahmi, ST.MT.
Next, we would like to invite the IEEE Indonesian section, Dr. Ing Wahyudi Hasbi, SSI MCom. Times is yours.
Distinguished guests, colleagues, researcher, professional, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, a prosperous and warm greetings. First of all, please allow me to greet the Honorable Rector of Institut Teknologi Telkom Purwokerto, Dr. Arfianto Fahmi, ST.MT, Dean of Electro and Telecommunication Technology and Dean of Informatic Faculty, Institut Teknologi Telkom Purwokerto, Chair of IEEE System Man Cybernetics Indonesia Chapter, Dr. Sunu Widyagama, the Honorable Distinguished Keynote Speaker, Professor Mario Koppen, Dr. Jemy Confido, and Dr. Mahardika Pratama. All distinguished speakers, committee, all participants, ladies and gentlemen. It's such an honor and pleasure for me to be able to greet you all and give a few words to represent the IEEE Indonesia section at the opening of this conference. On behalf of the IEEE Indonesia section, I would like to express my sincere gratitude and welcome you to the 6th IEEE International Conference on Cybernetics and Computational Intelligence 2022. This conference hosted and organized by Institut Teknologi Telkom Purwokerto, supported by the IEEE Indonesia section, the IEEE System and Cybernetics Indonesia Chapter, and co-hosted by University of Brawijaya and University of Widyagama, Malang. The conference is expected to strengthen the collaboration and provide a forum for academician, professional, researcher to practitioners interested in the study, analysis, design, modeling, and implementation in the cybernetics, machine systems, computational intelligence, science and engineering system, theoretically and practically in various fields of application. So distinguished guests, colleagues, researcher, professional, ladies and gentlemen, the COVID-19 pandemic has led to a severe health and economic crisis with rising unemployment level around the world. Its impact on the ICT, electrical and electronic sector was become a central topic as well. While some segment of the ICT, electronics and electrical industry like consumer electronics, aviation, automotive have seen massive dismissal of workers and demand for semiconductors and devices related to the data centers and next generation of high-speed communication network system like 5G is steadily growing. Even currently, we are facing low supply of chips and semiconductors around the world. During the global pandemic, cyber and digital technology have become a critical enabler of connectivity, facilitating the continuity of our regular life and connecting people more than ever before. This pandemic is likely also accelerate technology related to Industry 4.0 like robotizations and artificial intelligence. The ICT, electrical and electronic workers in telecommunication, energy, and healthcare division report a higher workload than usual. And smart technology can provide equity access to service and increase well-being. In such so, I believe that this conference is very relevant to these rapid changes and is very important in highlighting the innovation and technology. Distinguished guests, keynote speakers, ladies and gentlemen, IEEE Indonesia as a regional organizational unit of IEEE was founded in 1988, and over the past 33 years, as mentioned by Rector, IEEE Indonesia has contributed significantly to various activities that encourage science and technology for humanity in Indonesia. Together with all our volunteers, members, and stakeholders, we produce various activities by supporting more than 60 high-quality conferences every year, including this conference. Compared with the previous years, in 2021 and 2022, the conference supported by the IEEE Indonesia increased by more than 50%. And of course, the high-qualified conference papers within the scope of IEEE are published in the IEEE Explore Digital Library, which is indexed by Scopus Web of Science and any other major databases with more than 6 million publications and more than 15 million downloads every month. As we all know, IEEE always maintain the high quality publication as part of our intellectual culture. We are also developing industrial standards such as IEEE 802 as a standard Wi-Fi that we use in our daily life. We are also holding more than 40 professional, technical, and non-technical and administrative activities every year for all its members. And currently we have more than 2,500 Indonesian members and more than 60 senior members consisting of professional, industry, academia, and government researchers. IEEE Indonesia also has supported 26 technical society chapters or joint chapters, more than 30 university student branches, and 9 IEEE student branch chapters. All these chapters have become a forum for members to have various international technicals, collaboration, and social activities, and provide Indonesian student members an experience. IEEE Extreme 24 programming, 24 hours programming, for example, is a challenging competition for students and can bring global competitiveness earlier for the students. In addition, we also have 3 non-technical affinity and interest group, namely IEEE Young Professional, Women in Engineering, and IEEE Special Interest Group on e-health and telemedicine. And on July 27, 2021, IEEE Indonesia also established a cooperation agreement with Directorate General of Higher Education, Research and Technology, in which IEEE activities support and synchronize in the Indonesian Ministry of Education and Culture Research and Technology program, including taking part in the Campus Merdeka, Merdeka Belajar, or Independent Campus Freedom to Learn. This historical collaboration shall strengthen the development of Indonesian higher education, especially the 8 leading indicators of higher education in Indonesia. We are also exploring cooperation with Indonesian industry in various activities and is actively involved in providing input in preparing related government regulation. Ladies and gentlemen, on this occasion, I would like to express my gratitude to all of the committee, especially to the director of the ITTP, Telkom Purwokerto, and also all the committee of Cyberneticscom 2022, who have worked very hard in preparing for this high qualified IEEE conference and event. I'm very aware that putting together an international event with this size is not an easy task. Therefore, I sincerely hope for your kind cooperation and active participation in all of this program. I hope all of you will have enjoyable and valuable experience during this conference event. And please stay active, stay healthy. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Ing Wahyudi Hasbi, SSI MCom.
Last, we would like to invite IEEE SMC, the Indonesia Section Chapter, Dr. Engineering Suno Widyagama, STM. Time is yours.
Okay, good morning everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dear distinguished keynote speakers, authors, colleagues, delegates, guests, and researchers, it is my great pleasure and honor to welcome you to the 6th 2022 IEEE International Conference on Cybernetics and Computational Intelligence, IEEE Cyberneticscom 2022. This conference has been a flagship conference of the IEEE Indonesia section since 2012, and the conference is currently organized by Institut Teknologi Telkom Purwokerto and co-hosted by our colleagues at University Brawijaya and Universitas Widyagama, Indonesia. The SMC, System and Cybernetics Society chapter of the IEEE Indonesia sections has been officially formed on March 28, 2019, with more than 60 members across universities, industries, and research centers in Indonesia. And after its formation, the society is currently focusing in its activities on promoting the SMC society chapters to various technical forums, as well as co-sponsoring technical conferences and workshops. We aim to consolidate resources and to strengthen the membership, as well as to build a new network between the SMC Society chapter and local institutions in Indonesia as well as in the Southeast Asia. We understand that we still need more improvement to create a better standard of life and the health of our nations. To make them possible, we need to put extra effort to achieve a groundbreaking success through outstanding methodical approach and laborious hours of work with colleagues of fellow researchers at all costs. A scientific event such as this conference, IEEE Cyberneticscom 2022, may possibly facilitate collaborative work among scientists, establish a professional network, as well as aspire every one of you to be lifelong learners. On behalf of the System and Cybernetics SMC Society chapters of the IEEE Indonesia sections, I wish all authors, colleagues, delegates, guests, and visitors for having a fruitful discussions and technical deliberations. This event should impact the fields of science, technology, and also our humanity for the next many years. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Sunu Wibirama.
Ladies and gentlemen, as the first day of this conference, we have already two outstanding keynote speakers. They are Prof. Mario Koppen from Kyushu, Institute of Teknologi Japan, Dr. Jemy V. Confido from PT Telkom Indonesia.
Before we begin our first keynote speaker session, I would like to inform you some information again. Please turn on the camera and mute audio during the keynote speaker session. And then if you have any question, please keep it on you till the speaker finish to present. You can directly propose your question to the speaker by opening the microphone or write your question on the chat room by telling your name first. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first session, we have Professor Mario Kavan from Kyushu Institute of Teknologi, Japan. Before starting his presentation, let me read the brief biography of Professor Mario Kavan. In 2006, he is the SPS Fellow at the Kyushu Institute of Technology in Japan. And in 2008, Professor at the Network Design and Research Center NDRC. And 2013, Professor at the Graduate School of Creative Informatics of the Kyushu Institute of Technology, where he is conducting now research in the field of multi-objective and relational optimization, digital convergence, and multimodal content management. He has published more than 150 peer-reviewed paper and conference proceedings, journal, and book, and was active in organization of various conferences as chair or member of the program committee, include the WSC online conference series on soft computing in industrial applications, and the HIS conference series on hybrid intelligent system. He is founding member of the World Federation of Soft Computing and also associate editor of the Applied Soft Computing Journal. Okay, good morning, Professor. Have you joined to this room? Hello, Professor. Hello, can you hear me clearly?
Hello?
Okay.
Okay, thanks. So good morning. Thank you very much for the kind introduction.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Kavan from Kyushu Institute of Technology, Japan.
Hello? Okay. It's okay to start or so you can.
Yes, Prof.
Yeah. And you can see my slides. Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you
clearly,
again
yes.
to the organizers for the honor to participate in this exciting conference, and also for the introduction and the opening of this conference. Very impressive. And yeah, I want to speak about smart farming today, but I will give you also the reason why I'm doing that at this conference. And I also want to mention this is a cooperative work with the students from my lab, so the doctoral students Andi Asiat and Widyagama Shafruddin, which are graduating or have recently graduated in my lab at the Kyushu Institute of Technology in Japan. And well, let's start. So we want to speak about the opportunities of digital technology in a very challenging field. I'm sorry, I have translation on here, something Japanese, no? A moment, I will switch off. This one. Okay, so sorry. Yeah, smart farming, and the subtitle is a Smart Documentation Center. It should express that we are focusing on documentation questions in a field of the global food supply chain to approach problems in farming and improve the one. And there's a nice example. So first of all, question why I'm doing smart farming, because you might know that my affiliation is in Japan, and the origin is not Japan, so I'm from Germany. I was born in 1964 in the city of Berlin, at this time the eastern part of Berlin. And I studied, of course, and worked for the Fraunhofer Institut. I became Berlin for 14 years, which is applied research-oriented research organization in Germany, and made my PhD. And then I moved on to Fukuoka by getting this J-Space Fellowship, and there I'm still today. And as you see, I was growing up and spending most of my lifetime in large cities. So I think I did not have any relation to farming, but it came actually by a student from Indonesia. So Irawan, Ismail San, he came in 2017 to my lab, and he introduced the topic of a cocoa farming. And I thought it was a kind of immediately challenge to the Theobroma challenge by considering, well, he had the idea to study the ripeness of these fruits, which is, of course, from image processing point of view, quite challenging texture. And I think about not a simple color question, like in many other kinds. So I think you know well about cocoa farming. So that was a starting point. So, and then suddenly started to study the process of chocolate making. So we say the bean to bar process, from the cocoa beans and the several processing steps up to the exporting and the processing in or manufacturing in all countries of the world. So on the one hand, that process, on the other hand, as you can see, we can put it on a slide. So it's not an horrible complex process, and it's a good topic for study. But of course, here's another picture. So of course, I have no time to go into details of the chocolate food system, but just to give an idea, it's also a good study topic, and it has an impact. And I want to speak about this impact later on, but I just mentioned from that point on, the topics in my lab started to focus around the farming application, the chocolate food chain, and so on. So, and this is what I want to give a bit an overview. And first is, of course, it's not just a study topic, of course, it has an economical impact, and this economical impact has an interesting background. So I give you a few numbers about the cocoa beans production in Indonesia, which is centered around the island of Sulawesi. So I think, sorry, the Zoom is blocking my slides. But yeah, on top. Okay. Actually, Indonesia is a main player in the cocoa production in the world, so in place 3 officially after Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana. And there are some numbers, so don't give me the large numbers, 1.4 million hectares spread over 31 provinces, and 64% of them located in Sulawesi. So these are numbers from 2010, so sorry. And if that is not a news account, but about this, it shows it has a big impact on the cocoa production in Indonesia and at the end in the world. But it was not extreme long-term tradition, so it was introduced in the 80s to focus on this cocoa production. But now the last item is important. I think 90% of plantation is owned by farmers on small farming. There are about 2.2 million smallholder farmers, according to a 2010 figure. And this splitting into small farms, of course, has some a lot of specific aspects, which I say there is a chance of high disease and pest incidents, and also the limited access to quality planting material and quite low level of farm management. Is everything goes by the fact that nothing is centralized. But why is it? Sorry. Why is it so? So why there are so many smallholders? Actually, not only in Indonesia, it's worldwide cocoa production, cocoa farming in that sense. And this is actually caused by that small guy here, Forcipomia theobroma. The point is that the fruit, the flowers of the cocoa tree are what to say, hard to access. So the pollen produced by these flower are only accessible to small insects which are not larger than 2 to 3 millimeter in size. So that means it's too small for the traditional honeybee bees to access the pollen of this plant. So it needs much smaller insects. And this role is taken over by a category of these Forcipomia. It's a subspecies of the mites. And yeah, that is the interplay. So for some reason that flower has a very tiny access to the staminodes for the pollen. And in addition, it doesn't produce any odor to attract insects, and also it has opening times. So to say, it's open only a few hours a day for a rather short period. So it's not very assisting in being polluted. But on the other hand, if a human tried artificial pollination, it was so far not working quite well. So it's a bit also a lucky circumstance to get this cocoa production running in a country, and this happened in Indonesia. But you can understand these small midges, they have not so far reach. They cannot fly or swarm more far than 5 to 10 meters from their living place, and that's it. So therefore, you have small farms. You cannot make a large-scale cocoa farming because that little tiny insect cannot fly that far. So this is, of course, giving the corresponding coincidences, which I find is an interesting case where the biological facts play together with the economical constraints. So it makes large-scale cocoa monocultures impossible, and leads to the problem of the farming standards. So that means we have various topics in that field to respect this situation. And the point is, what we see as an approach or key point to access the general smart farming team is to consider the documentation, especially consider the opportunities of blockchain technology and else. Okay. Someone is painting on my screen here. Is it? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the traditional way of documentation is, of course, like the pen and paper approach, or just put the data into a computer and database and so on. So we have considering that might not be sufficient. So let's just have a look into this supply chain. And what we have today is a lot of tools and software, what they call farm software systems for different purposes, especially to manage, to optimize the production, to make a strategic and efficient decision of the farmer daily activities, the recording, also the supporting farm financial management and key figures for the performance. And as we have this kind of water management systems of controlling auto-spreading systems and collecting smart data and the crop yield analysis, and the same, of course, also for the meat production. So we have a lot of tools focusing around these specific farming activities, and it's a well-studied topic. But we thought there's something missing, because the global food supply chain is much larger than just the production part. So we can consider, we have to study that, of course, following up the farming and harvesting is the distribution, transport, the processing step, the retailing sector. Lastly, the consumption of the food. And yeah, we also showed some kind of link to go back to the farming by considering more and more the recycling aspect. So this is the food supply chain in a nutshell. But this food supply chain is also a global thing. So I just picked some news here recently, longer time ago, whatever. Just let me just mention one thing. In the starting of the pandemics in the beginning of 2019, it was heavy lockdowns in China. So it did not yet spread to all other parts of the world. But in that period already, you see, like May 20, 2020, already the farmers in the US were influenced by the lockdowns in China. Then you can see this was maybe surprising these farmers as well, because they didn't expect to be globally linked to influences. And we have many of these situations. So that means the study of the supply chain is also about a global process. And of course, then it's quite hard to think about just a small local software solution. So that means what we have to focus on is a kind of documentation of the whole chain, as much as we can document things in the internet today or what else. And of course, here's the consideration of this, let's call it smart documentation systems, which can support things in different aspects. So I'm not sure, it's not so much time left. So I will try to make it short, sorry. But we have different aspects of or options of smart documentation system. It's to serving the increased security of these documented processing. We can consider as a tool to optimize, to receive data that allows us to optimize the processing and also the traceability, and provide related incentives, investigations, simulations, and last but not least, but we don't study that, but of course also the economic aspect. So let's start with the security shortly. And speaking about blockchain, I think I will not introduce blockchain specifically here, but I want to say that is one one important consideration which made us bring up with a new concept to reflect the situation in farming, which is, for example, different from, let's say, existing blockchain networks like the Bitcoin network or the trade lanes for the distribution transportation. Let me say, for example, that the Bitcoin transactions is mostly based, or the first step is the validation of a transaction. And this just happened, there's these theoretical or abstract transaction, physical transaction of Alice sending some Bitcoin amount to Bob. And the only criterion for that being valid is that Alice has enough Bitcoin on the wallet. Yeah? So that means there's just a comparison of the Bitcoin amount to make sure the transaction is permissible, apart from the follow-up processing. Yeah? But the question I put here is such a simple test enough in farming? And if you consider the farming, then the answer is no, clearly no, because the transaction is actually highly distributed and a complete different thing. So we have the issue that, for example, a farmer might like to cover up problems in the farming, which is also the part of the transaction. So to give, for example, the problem of a damaged cocoa beans to mix into regular or to modify the documentation and so on. So and therefore we had to think about, let's say, a two-factor blockchain concept, which is also ensuring the integrity of the digital media, which you can see in that concept, which is, so to say, the traditional blockchain of the farming transaction. And there's a blockchain for the media, and the both are kind of interlinked via digital watermarking technology. So it means that the data itself cannot be modified that easily, as well they are linked to the recorded events. So this is one aspect when you consider the security of a smart documentation system can provide. The other thing we also think about optimization aspects. So optimization is a very broad concept in thing. So just let's see, there's different keywords here around. We speak about fairness, efficiency, scheduling, quality of service, everything under this umbrella term of optimization. What we made use in that way is to kind of seeing this supply chain as a more of a mutually constraining optimization task and avoid any kind of overdoing. So we want to optimize like the whole chain, but of course we can't. But we have one aspect, and we have the aspect of the former stage to consider as a constraint on the next one. And in that context, we developed some kind of a meta-heuristic approaches, so you would say the computational intelligence. And for example, the concept of a, what I say, deferred fitness, so a delayed fitness, when we cannot immediately evaluate the value of our activities, and we have to wait actually for the next stage to complete before we can know that, but nevertheless we want to optimize in that concept, and developed a concept also fitting to another aspect of light, the parasites, which have a bit also this deferred fitness thing. If you study these complex loops of multiple life stages of a parasite, you find many similar things in smart farming. So we are considering actually the repository of swarm intelligence to provide corresponding algorithms to optimize in a situation with such a delayed fitness evaluation, and considering also the random search modification multi-agent, and we are actually studying the pollination problem. This is like a 3D model of a Fossipomia, and we have these setup of a kind of, and you can see it's a virtual environment, which we would call a metaverse these days, but we're using this kind of open simulator based environment for several years already. So we made a kind of a simulation experiment how these different swarm intelligence algorithm can provide the pollination up to the point that the Fossipomia itself doesn't have any fitness related to the tree. the tree itself is the target to produce new fruits, but the Forsythia just will get nectar and doesn't care about the efficiency of the tree. Okay, so this is a kind of showing you the simulation is actually, it's kind of avatar-based thing, so it's through metaverse, there's regions and so on. You can get a bit an idea. And so we made a kind of scheduled random search, and we had findings that indeed these different strategies are giving quite different results, as you can see. And we had the most successful one. Sorry, let me just browse, which is an algorithm. It's called as DAG, or Defender Aggressor game, which is actually a multi-agent based or inspired approach, which gave the best results in that pollination. And so we can see, we can evaluate and we can learn about the prospect behavior of, for example, pollinating agent by keeping record of these things. So last item, and I hope I have a few minutes, traceability, which is more the outlook for the future, which I want to give what kind of challenges we still have. So we have a lot of challenges, in fact. For example, we have access to huge amount of data. So maybe at the end you will getting something like strange stories. This is just a bit overdoing example, but we have so many data, numbers, and so on. But this is actually information abundance. So that means the human cannot learn so, cannot understand so easily if you're like overloading this specific fact. So it needs a kind of, what do we tell in a moment, story mode. We have another problem. For example, we want to trace back origin of products, but in many stages we have this kind of container in between. So that means after this filling up a container and maybe shipping somewhere, and then we start taking out, then we cannot trace back this origin perfectly anymore, no? Or from where things were coming. So that means we have a consideration of, for example, fuzzy logic to understand, to make a kind of a more rough statement. So at the end we will have a need for so-called story mode. Yeah, we need to be able to tell stories from data. Like some beans came from the cocoa farm in that area. So we cannot trace back each bean or something. That's just not necessary and also not, yeah, this is not possible. So the point is we need to be able to make these kind of statements which are more interesting for the farmer and the user, the potential customer, for example. And yes, that way in many aspects. But we have other options. For example, we consider the cocoa food chain, but we know even in the chocolate processing, it's already converging with other chains. For example, the milk which is needed, the sugar, the vanilla, and also lecithin included. So, and how can we reflect these other food chains which might not be so well documented, for example, in these evaluation of cocoa beans? So we can study it in isolation. Okay, so we see the potential, as you have noted, in the computational intelligence to provide a methodology to work in that field. And I hope I could demonstrate already some results we have achieved. And also to study by meaning of metaverse, which are avatar-driven interactions, which you can see you can make setups, emulating the real-world case, and so on. Okay, so in a summary, so we have a lot of new technologies. We speak a lot about it: cloud computing, blockchain, big data, IoT. Yes, they're all kind of buzzwords, but we might also think to take the aspect of simulation into these handling of food safety and traceability in new ways. And of course, they will help us to also unlock new problem levels. So we have smart documentation system, so to say, to be not shy. That means we should, in fact, really reach out for the whole food system, and also include so the neighboring systems in these chain-like structures. And by design, we want to make it capable of supporting optimization of the whole food system by considering these specific physical constraints from one stage onto the next. But at the same time, we have to make sure that it stays on a human comprehensible level. Suggested, for example, a story mode to explain things in a clear way to the user and so on. And it might still be a long way before we can have such a system, but it's nothing wrong to start taking first steps. And that's my presentation. So thank you for your attention, and I will hand back to the moderator of this session. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Professor Maria Koppen. Now we are on Q&A session, section 1. You can directly propose your question to the speaker, Professor Maria Koppen, by opening the microphone and raise hand first, or write your question on the chat room by telling your name first. Okay. Any question for audience, from audience?
Implementing smarter documentation in farming. Yeah, the big challenge. Good question. I think it's the testing. So let me say, we can make a lot of concepts, but how can we test our models? Because when we implement something in a local place, we might not be capable to consider the effect in a chocolate factory in another country also. So I think to get insights, therefore I was speaking about these metaverse things or these simulations helping us a lot on this point. The other thing is, I would say, to keep in mind that we are working in a not high technology environment. So, I mean, farming, we have places that they might have, I showed you one place, an example, it doesn't have, I don't know, student doesn't have electricity. So what we are thinking about wireless networks and smartphones and all these tools. So we have to respect that fact, and it's in fact a recent development of I sent from my lab to consider, for example, modular blockchain devices in a, what is it, very low energy range and low energy transmission. So I think the respect for the technology level in a farming environment is also the big challenge. And maybe that's it, if you're fine. But can you probably ask a question with a microphone? Okay, anyway. And I see another question. Okay, I was asking about this meta-heuristic approach I was presenting for the pollination. Of course, it was very short. Yeah? Please excuse me when I have 30 minutes. Because it's a topic of a whole-scale doctoral thesis on students, and the journal publications actually are also included. And you see the deterministic approach. So it's a bit question. Can I show you back one slide? You can still see screen sharing, yeah? That's correct.
Yes.
It's just these possible, but there's in fact the so to say deterministic approach, which is the slide. Hello?
Prof, we have one question in the chat room.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean.
Wait a minute.
I see the questions in the chat room.
Okay, I think it's enough.
I try to answer.
Oh, okay.
Enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's one question about why not using a deterministic algorithm?
Okay, I think it's
But
enough,
I
sir.
still have screen sharing on. Is okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
okay, thank you so much.
This slide here. No?
Yes, thank you so much, Professor Maria Koppen, for your presentation today.
So I should conclude.
Okay, sir. One more question.
Prof, before we go to the chat room questions, we have questions from our audience that raise hand.
Please open microphone.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Koppen, for your interesting presentation, and the topic is quite interesting as well. Of course, I would like to ask one question regarding the COQUA supply chain management that we can optimize using some optimization strategy that you explained already. Yeah, what would be the best, I think, when we have, you know, cocoa is commodity, normally in the market is, we need to do some options. And what would be the best fitness function? Thank you so much.
Okay, please, Prof. Koppen.
Okay.
Okay, please, Prof.
You had to make a microphone
Yes.
blocked, so I could not. Okay. So I'm not sure. Is there a question to me or something? I wanted to reply on this one question. So sorry, I did not understand the former.
Oh, okay.
Please, can you repeat? I'm sorry, please, can you repeat the question?
Mr. Mikkel, can you repeat your questions?
Yes, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Because the microphone is blocked, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes it's difficult to open my microphone as well, by the moderator should be more responsive, yeah? So my question regarding the cocoa supply chain management that you propose with the several algorithms, yeah? There are several algorithms like multi-agent system, etc. And
Yeah.
you know, in the market, cocoa supply chain management is much more influenced by auction in the market. So auction is something that could be really probabilistic, yeah? And what would be the best fitness functions that is most appropriate for that case?
So you're referring, maybe it's about a related topic. So just summarize, when we are considering this kind of idea, so to say, to reflect the situation in the Polynesian, for example, differently, maybe it was a bit short. As said to say, we have different stages in this supply chain. Maybe you refer to the market, which is influencing consumption, retail, processing, everything. But how to consider the aspect of the former stage? You know? So that means that stage want to evaluate, but some point of the production is only clear after the next stage has been performed. For example, you damaged frozen food, you transport frozen food and it is damaged at the end. So what is the factor for the production itself? There is no factor. So we have to reflect this thing as a kind of, as we call it, physical constraint, and use this kind of modeling in the computational technique. We call it deferred fitness. So, for example, we also have to, it's of course an unfortunate event to have a parasite in this world, but they are going through different life stages. Yeah? And we take this as a kind of biological inspiration, yeah, to consider these stages. Yeah? This is toxoplasmic, which is starting in a cat, and it goes into the cat feces, and then the rat is eating, and then it's growing in the rat, and the cat is eating the rat. So it's completing life cycle within different organisms. And so we took that as an example, and we have some options. So as you said, we can consider swarm intelligence algorithms. Yeah. So the famous algorithms with name particle swarm optimization and so. But we had to modify them, so to say, remove the fitness evaluation. We have the biological model, which is in that sense that speaking about the deterministic thing, which is not influenced by the context, which is the most famous Levy flight model of this insect movement, which is running around. And we can consider also multi-agent systems, which were not primarily designed around any kind of fitness, quality measure. Of course, they're mostly rule-based. And in fact, we had at the end the algorithm based on this multi-agent system, this top thing here, being capable, so to say, to pollinate the largest number of trees. So they are different. No? And just to say, what was the meaning of this agent system? It was actually a strategy where someone's considering other entities and environment as either aggressor or defender, and so to say, the agent tries to seek a new position to bring the supposed defender between itself and the aggressor. So it means it starts moving to this position, which is the extension of this connection. So this is this DAG method, which I've formed to be best. Of course, it has also similarity with not evolutionary method, which is known as differential evolution. And yeah, that's it. So you can consider, of course, more methods. This is just what we were taking into account to compare the different approaches. But I think the important thing is behind everything, the consideration of the influencing factors. This is what we wanted to achieve here. That we have to consider not a complete chain, we have to still consider local aspects, but we have to take the next stage into account, into a kind of deferred fitness aspect. So that's the basic idea. Okay, and the application, of course, it can be also into a smart city environment, or if you say in the market, consideration, everything is okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any questions again?
I think it's enough.
Oh, okay.
That is the last question.
Okay. Then the end of this keynote session, we would like to invite the chairman of the event, Dr. Arfianto Fahmi, STMT, to give the appreciation of today's keynote speaker, Prof. Koppen.
Okay.
Thank you very much to Prof. Koppen for today's conference, and also the chairman of this event, Dr. Arfianto Fahmi, STMT. Ladies and gentlemen, the second speaker we have Dr. Jemy V. Confido from PT Telkom Indonesia. Before starting his presentation, let me read the brief biography of Dr. Jemy Confido. He is a senior general manager leading the corporate University of Telkom Group, which includes preparing the organization transformation to become Indonesian Telecommunication and Digital Research Institute, which function as digital hub with 3 pillars: talent development learning, innovation, and research that serve both Telkom Group and 12 state-owned enterprise cluster. Okay, good morning, Dr. Jemy. Have you joined this room?
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Jemy V. Confido from PT Telkom Indonesia.
Yes, good morning, everyone, and thank you, the committee, for the opportunity given to me to address these keynotes. So I really hope that in the next few minutes, we will have a very interesting discussions about the existence of cybernetics, especially I believe will be leading the core of industry revolution for 5.0. So with that, let me share my presentation slide. Okay, so I hope everyone already seeing my presentation. So let me continue with the wrap up of the industry revolution. So talking about industry revolutions, I believe everybody's already been aware or even involved in the progress. And here I'm just highlighting um, the revolution. So back in around 1780s, we began the first industrial revolution with the presence of mechanization. And then later, it lasts for quite a long period of times, around 2 centuries. And then after that, we started the electrification, which revolutionized the industry again to lead us to the second industrial revolution. The second industrial revolution lasts for 70 years, and it has changed many aspects in the society due to of its capability to mass production and landscaping the economy and social structures at the time. And then during 1960s, we began with the automatization and we entered the third industrial revolution. In that period, a lot of things are being automated, and we started to see the presence of the first programmable logic controller, or PLC, and we believe the cutting edge of these technologies will even accelerate the process of revolutionizing the industry. And that was very true, because it lasts only for 40 years, and from around the millennials, we began with the digitalization, and then we have some a lot of argumentations that some sides say we are still in the third industrial revolution with the automatization, but some others argue that we are already in the different stage of the industrial revolutions. And the discussion were concluded with the statement from Professor Squatch, which very, very firmly explained that the today's digitalization is very much different from the previous automatization. And he proposed that we are already in the industry revolution 4.0, in which the use of cyber physical systems on connected devices are becoming prominent. And ubiquitous connectivity of people, machines, and real-time data is something that everyone, ranging from researchers, academicians, scientists, industrialists, technicians, are pursuing. And this stage is being experienced very, very massively and even rapidly because of the presence of pandemic COVID-19. So after this very fast industry revolution, people started to question how long will it last? The first industrial revolution took 200 years, the second took 70 years, the third took 40 years. If we follow the sequence, then the fourth industrial revolution will last for around 20 years or less. Okay. Then the aspirations of this digitalization has become more specific. So starting from this stage, everyone started to consider the possibilities of personalization, and very much this influence will trigger the emerging of Industry Revolution 5.0, in which the interdependence of men and machines using cognitive computing and human intelligence has become the necessary center or the core of every aspects of human lives. Okay, and previous need concept like mass customization and personalization for humans, which has not been fully realized for many decades, now will become something very, very realistic to achieve with the support of many new capabilities, including introductions of AI into manufacturing and the concept of collaborations among human and machines and other machines that will lead us to the stage in which we are moving unstoppably to the new eras of not only, I believe, industrial revolutions, but very might be it is also the society revolutions, because as Professor Klaus Schwab already addressed, even in the Industry 4.0, the changes is very, very massive, that it does not only change the way we work, it also changes who we are. And that leads us to the questions, how can we handle these new potentials that will reside within ourselves to still maintain our mindfulness as a human being, as the society, as the civilization, to move forward in the more massive and faster ways, but still we can keep the balance. To respond to that concerns, let me show you what the Japanese has been doing for the last decades, in which they already declare the Society 5.0. So before we continue with the Society of 5.0 as one possible answers, let me recall that the Industry Revolution 4.0 is something for many people in many countries still being adopted, even still being digested. People are still trying to grasp the ideas, the concept of this new industrial revolution era, right? However, as all industrial revolution have been triggered by the presence of new technology or new technological capabilities, we believe the next industrial revolution, which is the fifth industrial revolution, will also be triggered by the new technology or technological capabilities. And some experts have already identify that now actually we are already in the transition stage from the fourth industrial revolution to the fifth industrial revolution. We are not in the fifth industrial revolution yet, but we are now in the situation in which industrial revolution 4.0 is very, very strong, and the emerging of the next, the fifth industrial revolution is very prominent. Now, let's go back to this society 5.0. I'm not a kind of person who are very eager to create new terminology or propose or declare a new stage of something if I'm not sure with the underlying fundamental background that will ensure this new stage will make us into a better situation, right? But this Society 5.0 is very monumental for us because it has been declared earlier than the Industrial Revolution 5.0 itself. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is for the first time the society revolution move faster, go beyond the industrial revolution itself. It has been introduced prior to the real wave of the next industrial revolution takes place. Okay, why it is very important? Because as I addressed earlier, in the previous industrial revolutions, the technology leads the pace, the technology leads the change, the technology leads the revolution. So if I can put it in other words, it seems that people, humanity, have become the object of the industrial revolution, not the subject of the industrial revolution. But with the introduction of Society 5.0, which is ahead of the Industrial Revolution 5.0, I think this is something that we have to reconsider. Even if the technological capability is there, is already exists, we still have to see it, perceive it from the human being perspective. So the Society 5.0 has reminded us that technology is supposed to be provided for humanity, not the other way around. Okay, and the background from the Japanese, why they would like to introduce this new stage of society, mainly because of their current situation in which elderly people are still dominating the population, making them in a difficult situation to keep the pace of the productivity, the national economy sustainability, and so on. So they are having this bad experience with shortage of labor, while the economic or the social expense are already very, very high. The solution they expect to solve their problems should come from the availability of new capability of technology. So that the thinking behind or the rationale why they choose or decide to move up to the next level of the society. Okay. Now, with that thought, let us check what the cybernetics can provide. Cybernetics is something that has been around for many decades, and interestingly, for those long period of time, cybernetics is very silent. People are more familiar with what can be resulted or what has been already resulted from the existence of cybernetics. For instance, cybernetics resides behind every computers that human ever made, ranging from the old inefficient mainframe to the supercomputer, to the quantum computer, to the whatever next level of computing technology that human will develop. Okay. Even the terminology cyber of something like cyber security, cyberspace, or whatever something cybers already been derived from the original terminology of cybernetics. However, this very fundamental concept seems does not receive a proper introduction. It doesn't seem to have its own stage, while everyone else derived from the cybernetic concepts has already become very, very famous or popular in the society. However, from time to time, cybernetics has proven its existence, its importance, and its relevance to the changes of the stage of human society, or even for the industrial revolution itself. So basically, cybernetics provide essential goal to understand and define the function and process of systems or anything in the world that basically have goals. As the origin of the terminology indicates, that cybernetics come from Greek Kubernetes, steersman, or from Kubernetes, to steer. That means basically cybernetics means to govern, to navigate, to reach something, to achieve something, to achieve the preset goals, and again to make action to reach that objectives. Now, going back to our previous discussion, with the new technologies are being available for humanity, with the concerns being raised from many perspectives, including the environmental perspectives, the society perspective, and so on. We are faced with this question: which are our primary concern? Is it to achieve the goals or to maintain our supremacy? Because sometimes, if not most of the times, these two concerns do not always come aligned, do not always come together. We may be able to achieve our goals with the cost of losing our supremacy, or we try to maintain our supremacy, our legacy, but with that, we were not able to achieve the goals. So can we have both of these concerns all together with the presence of technologies? Well, mostly, very likely, I don't think we can achieve that if we only rely on the capability of technologies itself. But with the wisdom of cybernetics, I think we have a better chance. So let's take a look at our strategy to run the Industry 5.0, okay, the Industry Revolution 5.0. The idea of Industry 5.0 is not limited to industry, but it applies to every sector and every organization. By organization here, I don't mean to refer to structural, corporate, or government organization, but any kind of organization. It will also include the informal society, or even at smaller level, biological, ecological, the ecosystem of organism that somehow form any kind of organization. Okay, so the idea of Industry 5.0 resides on these three aspects: the human centricity, the resilient, and the sustainable. The question is, if we talk about human-centric, again, human would try to maintain its dominance toward the universe, towards the world, towards the ecosystem that as the most important, most intelligent organisms in the planet, humans would like to maintain its perspective, its dominance, that everything else should obey to the human centricity. Well, of course, we can settle this ambitious objective by lowering the human intervention, as long as it still aligns with the humanity itself. Okay, human doesn't have to dominate everything, as long as humanity still prevails. It still can be preserved. Okay. The next aspect is the resilience. We expect that all these agile changes in the technologies, in the industries, in the societies will still make sense to the flexibility, to the adaptability, that all of us will be able to anticipate, react, learn in a timely manner towards anything that coming ahead us, toward us, including the pandemic, okay, or any other catastrophe that may come ahead, okay. And that is very important, because we believe we have to survive of any kind of threats, of any kind of disruptions. Okay. However, considering the human centricity and resilience, we have also to consider the third aspect, which is sustainability. Because what is the purpose of having the human dominance and human ability to be flexible, to be adaptive towards any kind of challenges, if at the end we lose the basic foundations of everything on this planet, if every resources, every potentials that resides on this planet is no longer available, if we cannot sustain the ecosystem in which we live in. So with that, I think we have a lot of great expectation towards cybernetics, because cybernetics is the ideas, the concepts, the philosophies that has been founded many decades ago. Even the seeds of these ideas has been discussed 350 years BC. Okay, so it has been along with us, with humanity, from every step of our transformation, from every stage of our industry revolution. So with this very wise concept that keeps the balance of human and humans, human and machines, machine and machines, human, machines, and other subjects or living organisms, how we would like to maintain the communication, the understanding, the goals, the feedback, the closed loop, and everything will remind us about the essence of every single use of technologies, of every single purpose of revolution, or for every single stage of society. I would like to close my presentation with three quotes. The first one's coming from Hertz von Forsters, the American-born Austrian scientist. He is the pioneer of the second order cybernetics. He said, first order cybernetics is the science of observed systems. So human gets involved in the system, try to intervene it, making something according to his goals. Okay. It seems that humans become subject, but then there are some potential dangers in this approach, because human can get into the trap of proving its dominance, making the whole ecosystem become imbalanced. The second order cybernetics is the science of observing system, in which humans still get involved in the intervention. However, human needs to see the whole perspective, the bigger picture, to see the relation among things before humans make decision in which using a more egocentric perspective according to the human centricity that they want to preserve. Okay. Now the next quote's coming from Norbert Wiener. The beauty of cybernetics is we cannot really call who is the pioneer of cybernetics, who is the father of cybernetics, because unlike other aspects of science in which some of the science cannot really help or having a purpose to help human to solve problems, cybernetics is intended to solve problems since the beginning. And during its transformation, cybernetics has been supported or supporting other disciplines. So we cannot really say cybernetic as a single isolated practice, but it is a very interrelated, integrated concept which has the same basic ideas of achieving the goals with the limitations being faced in the process. But if we could mention one person as the father of cybernetics, that person will be Norbert Wiener. And he has laid many foundations of cybernetic concepts, and he has also mentioned many important and inspiring quotes, and this is one of them. He said, progress imposes not only new possibilities for the future, but also new restrictions. This sentence, I think, is very important for us to keep in mind, that with all possibilities, with the upcoming industrial revolution technologies, including what we already have, like blockchain, artificial intelligence, and in the next decades, we will be even more familiar with nanotech, metaverse before that, probably quantum computing. With all this coming technology, we have to realize that still we have the responsibility, either the restriction coming from the nature, or we realize this restriction by ourselves and making the best wise use of the technologies. And the last one coming from myself, if I may. So I would like to uh, say that it is neither to humanize the machine nor to machinize the human. Let's embrace the potential of cybernetics underpinned by ethics. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to the moderator. Thank you very much for your kind attentions, and hopefully we still have some time to have Q&A. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dr. Jemy V. Confido. Okay, distinguished speaker, ladies and gentlemen, after hearing the keynote speaker presentation, now we are on Q&A session. You can directly propose your question to the speaker by opening the microphone and raise hand first, or write your question on the chat room by telling your name first. Okay, we get first question. Okay, my name is
Hari
Hari from ITTP.
I have a questions to Dr. Jemy Confido. How Telkom Indonesia responds to such a kind of this, especially impact of auto information in every aspect of human life, especially in preparing human research? Thank you. Please, Dr. Jemy.
Yes, thank you very much, Pak Hari, for your questions. Yes, this is a very essential for all of us to prepare ourselves with this very massive disruption. Of course, we have to begin with having the right mindset towards all of these changes that I think already impacting us. And we have to possess this willingness, this eagerness to keep learning, to keep exercising, experimenting with new stuff. It doesn't have to heavily involve new technologies, but at least it will guide us, it will ease us in performing or doing something that will make us in a better position, processing something faster, easier, simpler, more cost-effective, and so on. And that's the necessary condition for everyone. And in PT Telkom, of course, we also help all of our employees to be prepared and ready for that. Not only at PT Telkom, actually, we also support all SOEs as addressed by the ministry. But that may not be enough. We have to go beyond this open mind, having growth mindset, willing to learn, willing to try, and so on. We have to go even further to be more profound in our understanding, in our skill possession, in our ability to progress, to move forward. We need to embrace all potentials, but we also must have the wisdom to select, to prioritize, to apply which potential is relevant to our situation. Because in the past, we either get trapped into one of these two conditions. We reject everything or we absorb everything. Both are not the good approach to face the current and future situation in which so many things are coming ahead of us. But at the same time, we have a very limited resources to embrace them. So hopefully that answered your question.
Okay, once again, thank you for Dr. Jemy Confido for your presentation and answer. And then once again, thank you for Professor Mario Koppen. It is our honor to having you today. We already get new knowledge about smart farming system that covers all new technology like cloud computing, blockchains, and we also got new industrial revolution knowledge. Okay, and then
At the end of this keynote session, we would like to invite the chairman of the event, Dr. Arfianto Fahmi, STMT, to give the appreciation to Dr. Jemy. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Jemy, for today's conference. And also the chairman of this event, Dr. Arfianto Fahmi, STMT.
Thank you very much, Pak Dr. Afianti, and all the participants and the committee. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you so much.
okay, ladies and gentlemen, and all the participants, before we move to parallel session, which divide into 5 breakout rooms related to the field of track 1, cybernetics and computational intelligence, and then track 2, human-machine system, track 3, system science and engineering, track 4, data science, track 5, artificial intelligence. I am Halim Kistakarima and Diandra Chika. We'll leave from this Zoom and will be continued by parallel session. See you tomorrow. Thank you and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Halo semuanya, perkenalkan nama saya Ferdinand Karo. Saya mahasiswa S1 Teknik Telkom